we are at Hajar-Im, one of the 6 megalithic sites in the Maltese islands that are inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List.
The scientific committee, which was set up to study the deterioration of the temples, came to the conclusion that the problem was the interaction between the material itself, what the material is, its porosity, and the fact that it's a soft limestone, with the aggressive environmental conditions, rain, sun, wind, salts. I'm Professor JoAnn Cassar. I am head of the Department of Conservation and Built Heritage at the University of Malta within the Faculty for the Built Environment. We are a small department which deals with archaeological sites from the conservation point of view and also buildings, but also landscapes.
I'm Daniel Micallef. I'm currently an associate professor at the Faculty for the Built Environment, Department of Environmental Design. My research background is in aerodynamics, and in fact my PhD was based on the study of wind turbines and wind energy. But then I applied that knowledge into other fields, particularly on the aerodynamics of buildings and not only on other aspects. So currently I'm working on the Megalith project, which is a project that deals with the modeling the environmental conditions of the megalithic temples in Malta. So the environmental conditions that lead to degradation processes are based on the study of airflow patterns, for example, around the temples, and basically effects that could be simulated using advanced techniques that we use in our team. So that was the major interest and source from which we gained our inspiration to be able to study further these effects.
In the past, before we had the shelters, before even the scientific studies started on these temples, there were events which caused alarm. Some stones suddenly either fell or they started losing contact with each other, or as I said previously, started to get gradually thinner. And therefore, the only remedy possible at that time was almost, you could call it a knee-jerk reaction, where they came in with the material which they had, which was cement. And you can see some areas which are still covered with cement. Now, cement is not a good solution, because not only when you apply the cement does it feed in salts into the stone, so we're adding to the salt problem, but we're also creating a barrier, creating a layer which is impervious. So what happens is that the stone is porous, the layer is impervious, so when the salts start to act aggressively, they take the weaker part, and the weaker part is our original stone. So the cement is definitely not a good idea. Why is the cement still there? Why don't we remove it? The reason is that it is a very, very hard material, and the stone is not only soft, but it is also weakened, and therefore any attempts to remove the cement will just result in losing a lot of stone. So decisions have to be taken to leave it there, but also to shelter, to monitor, and to prevent further aggressive action.
Certainly, there are various aspects to this question. One of the phenomena we're studying is the erosion process, as I mentioned earlier, and how wind actually acts on these temples. Why is this important? There are two reasons. Apart from the erosion process itself, there is also the question about how salt is transported from the sea environment onto the temples themselves.
In this particular apse of Hajar Aim, here we can really see the different stages of stone deterioration, because this depends not only on the stone itself, but also on the orientation. We must remember that these were uncovered for thousands of years, and so the interactions of, as I said, rain, wind, sun, and salts happened equally inside as outside, because they didn't have any shelters, any roofs. So basically you can see areas where the stone is flaking and losing small pieces of stone which gradually fall off, gradually lessening the thickness of the stones. You can see areas where what is called honeycomb weathering, where different pieces of the stone which are different in the structure of the stone itself fall off at different rates. And you can also see areas where crusts form. Crusts develop over time, but then because they are losing contact with the stone underneath, even these crusts eventually fall, and suddenly you have this surprise, oh my goodness, I've lost so much stone suddenly. But it's only because this crust has been building up over many, many, even hundreds of years.
So there is a synergy between the various topics that are related to the Megalith project. For example, there are aspects related to modeling, and that is something that in our team we do on a day-to-day basis. There is also an aspect related to material science, related of course to the degradation processes in the temples. That part is being led by Professor JoAnn Cassar. There is also the machine learning and IT related research, which is being led by Dr. Azzopardi. So in all, in total, we have a number of disciplines that have to communicate with each other, and therefore the Megalith combines these different disciplines into one research project with one single message.